The question is, have you ever been a part of a change process? If so, please explain. And the answer is yes, I've been a part of a change process. I've been called in to manage a hotel. It was a change of career for me. I was a hairdresser. I changed from that and I became a nurse assistant. And it was from that career of nursing that I came to my now present career as a manager of a hotel. And coming to this new position, there was a lot of change that I had to make. Management, the whole management team had to change. People had to just go, had to let people go and bring in new people. And the reason for that was because I felt that coming in with new ideas of how to elevate the business. The business was faltering. We were what we call a distress business. A lot of money owed, and the whole management system was in chaos. And I came in to I was called in to remedy the situation as it were. And so I was it was a whole process change for me. The whole thing about change. I was the epitome of change. Not just that I changed careers and came to a new career, but I had to make change in the system that I was called into. I had to change, like I said before, the whole management system. So I was a part of the process of change. And it kind of, looking back for where I am now, it was a good decision, but it was not the most popular at the time. Some decisions that I made, most of the decisions I made was the right one. The ideas that I had coming in to make the change, it's kind of like was tough because I love people. I know that people have to live, they have to make a living to support their families and all of that. But I had to choose between empathy for the people and saving the business that somebody else could find a job in. In other words, the people that was here was accustomed to a system that was draining the business, and it was not good for the business. They were not good for the business because they were a way of doing things, a behavior pattern that was exhibited in the business that caused the problems in the business. So I had to make a decision that determined it was either the business or the people. And I made a decision that it had to be the business because I knew somewhere along the line that the business would be able to help other people. And in order to go through that process of change, you really have to get new people that you could promote your ideas to, your concept, your vision to, that would understand the vision. The old people would never understand the new vision because they're set in their ways. There's a certain way they're accustomed to do things. And it would be too much work, I felt. As we say in Christendom, pouring new wine in old wine skin. I knew the resistance would be, they would resist me on every level. And there was not enough time to go through training and enough time to help them to get to where I would have want them to go. I'm not talking about me as a person, trying to manipulate or control people, but for the health of the business. So I had to make that administrative decision and change in terms of letting people go. And that was the process of change that had to take place immediately. And I was involved in. I'm trying to answer the second question, which is what did it feel like? What did you feel before and during the change? Like I said, the human side of me, I don't want to say I'm like inhuman, but I felt empathy, I felt sadness because there were good people that had to be let go. I had to let go of good people. And so I came in knowing that, you know, I wasn't going to be popular because the change. There had to be a change. So I don't want to say I wasn't scared or anything, because see, when our back are pushed against the wall, we have to make like immediate decisions. There's decisions that must be made, and it gotta be made immediately, or else we will crumble and go under. And so I came in knowing that I had to be tough. I knew that I had to make the decisions that had to be made. I know that I had to go. The process had to take place in order for me to be successful. And so I came in knowing that I had to be tough and that there was going to be opposition. As a person, I like to be liked. I like to love people. I feel that they like me or they love me. But I had to put all those emotions aside, and I knew that, I would not be a popular person leading the process of change. Now, after the change was made, I felt a sense of satisfaction that I've been able to stand my ground and let the process work. I can give you an example because I just don't want to just talk in theory. There was a decision that I had to make concerning a particular worker, somebody who came from the inception when the business was first formed. It's in the hotel, and this person worked security from the time the business was formed. And letting that person go was a very, very hard decision. But I had to make the change. And I explained to them, and I tried to compensate them as best as I could, over and above. And so they made several attempts for me to not make the change. They appealed to me, they appealed to other people who had other people come to me and ask me for to keep them on. And I explained to them why the change was necessary. And it was necessary for everyone to go. And they kept coming back, and they kept coming back. And to me it was kind of ugly, because it wasn't a situation where the person was not compensated, was not thought about. But the fact that I stood my ground and said, no, I cannot do this. I cannot allow you to stay on. Everybody have to go. And you would not believe the level that this person went through for me to take them back. It went to the point where the person that was going to make the decision with me or for me or against me appealed to me to take that person back. So here I am, sitting in the presence of somebody who could either cause me to lose the business, to lose my position, or I have to take this person back. And I stood up and I said, I cannot do it. And so I feel kind of, yes, because I was able to stand my ground. One of the important things about management, about the process of change is making decisions and sticking with it if you're going to be successful. That is what I feel. So coming in, I come in knowing that I had to do what I had to do. I made a decision in my mind that I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I stuck with it in spite of the distraction, in spite of, the begging, the pleading, the whatever it is. Business is tough. Leadership is tough. If you cannot make decisions and stick with them, you're going to end up on the losing side. So I think that's the best way I could answer that question. I felt good. Looking back, I feel good about the change. I think I'm at the point where I can say, I don't regret making the change. I don't regret at all, because the change was important to the success of the business. And the third question is, explain the resistance you felt or witnessed as change has occurred. The resistance. Old management wanted to keep. In fact, old management did not want to go. I'm talking about the management level. They resisted, did not want to leave. After I came in, I was resisted, assaulted by management. I was opposed by management team and harassed, cursed out. It was ugly, but I stood my grounds, and I resist the resistance. I really did. I knew I had to be strong, because I'm thinking that I've got to succeed in this. And if you're going to be a leader and if you're going to be successful, you got to be strong. Your heart got to be fixed. You got to be ready to deal with resistance on every level, because people are going to resist you. People are going to send people after you. They're going to use people as pawn in this wider scheme of things to resist the process, to resist the change that you bring, because you being successful is saying to everybody around them that they was not successful because they didn't have the ability to succeed. And that is not always necessarily true. It's not always necessarily true. So people I think everybody have the ability to succeed, but it's just timing. It's just training. It's just knowing what to do and doing it, executing your plan, having a plan, a game plan, and executing it well. All right? So every process of change is going to be resistance. Every process. You coming into a new position, you're going to be resisted. The new girl, the new boy, there's going to be resistance. It don't matter what you say to somebody, how nice you say it, because you're the person that is bringing change. You are going to be resisted. They're going to always hear something different, in a different tone, in a different language, possibly, to what you're saying, actually saying. Because they have already set up in their minds that I don't want to hear him, I don't want to hear her. I'm not going to do what she says to do. I'm going to do what my old boss said to do. I'm not going to move from this seat. And so there is this, and I'm literally had people who were sitting outside my office door trying to get the position of the person who was my assistant. In other words, the old boss assistant was sitting outside the door to get back in the office to take up her position. And so that is explaining some of the resistance that I experienced. All right, and let me go to the fourth question. How do you think leaders can impact the success change process? one thing I know from my own experience is that if you are going to, if you're going to be involved in the process of change, you've got to be formed. You've got to be formed. Leaders, you've got to be formed. You've got to say what you mean and mean what you say. In other words, I have a problem with people coming to work late, because in the hospitality industry, especially dealing with in a hotel, working in a hotel, working in a bar, working in a restaurant, when a customer comes at 7 a.m. for breakfast, I cannot say to that customer, the person is late, the cook is late. I cannot say to the person when they're asking for coverlet, the person, the maid service is not here yet. I have to do it myself to compensate. I don't want to have to do that. But sometimes I have to do it to compensate. So I said to staff, you're supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. Work starts at 8. At least get here 5, 10, 15 minutes before then, so that you are here. And people tend to come in late. I had one young lady, the first day she came, I spoke to her on the phone. I said, come in, you're going to come for 8 o'clock. The first day she came late for the meeting, for the interview. Well, you know, that should have been a sign. And I said to her, I interviewed her, and I said, I always let people know straight off the bat, you were supposed to be here for 8 o'clock, it's 9:30. I let them know. Okay, let us go through with the interview. We had the interview, and then I spoke to her extensively on time, on the industry that we're in, how important it is for us to be on time. The first day when she came back, she came late. The second day I spoke to her. The second day, and this is now day 3, because the interview day was the interview day. The first day of work, she came late, and the second day I said to her, you have to be on time. When she came late out, second day I said, you have to be on time. And she said, okay. She have children, she blah, 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 blah. I asked you, what time can you start work? And you said 8 o'clock. No excuse, that was the time you said. So anyway, she came, the following day she came in like 15 minutes early. But then the next day, she came late, 45 minutes late. And I said to her, but she did. She went round to the back, changed her clothes, and then came to the front. I saw when she came. And I said to her, say, you're late and you don't have to work. Just like that. You're late, you don't, because she had been warned 3 times. You have to say what you mean and mean what you say. I was a little lax. The first, when she came for that interview, that should have been a no-no. The second time when she was late, that should have been a big no-no. It should not have been a third time. So that was my learning curve. But I'm always saying, you've got to be on time, and I mean you've got to be on time. I learned my lesson from that one person, because what happened is a pattern of behavior that culminates in the failure of your business, the failure of your process, the failure of whatever you're doing. If people are going to come late, people are going to lie, people are going to steal this stuff, people are going to ignore you when you call, you have got to stamp your authority as a leader, and you have got to maintain your position in leadership, because people will take you down. I'm telling you, I've had so many experiences. People would take you down. If you succumb to their lies, you turn a blind eyes on the stuff that they're doing, and one person sees that, another person comes in, and if they do the same thing, it's a pattern of behavior that is permeating now your whole organization. So as a leader, I would say be very, very firm. Say what you mean what you say, I'm saying that because I was not always that way. I had to learn from the very people that I'm leading. Amen. By learn from my mistakes. So they say, how do you think leader can impact the success of change? There's a reason why we call leaders, managers, supervisors, the chain of command. Why we are leaders? Because we have got to be ahead of the people that we lead. We got to think ahead of them. We got to act ahead of them. And we've got to be prepared for everything that could occur that wasn't in the plan. We have got to make, I don't want to say compensation, but we have got to leave a little, I don't want to say slack either. We've got to be able to come up with a game plan if something goes wrong in our plan, in the original plan. In other words, we must have a backup plan as a leader, because things can occur where we can either be floored and leave, like, oh, pulling our hair out, what should I do? And you have somebody from the back saying to you, and it's not always a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing if your subordinates can handle that. In other words, if they can say to you Miss Cameron, maybe we should open the door. Maybe we should go to the office and get the key and open the door. Something that would help the situation. That because in that moment of confusion or chaos, you might not be thinking straight. And we always need to be able to think clear and straight. That's why it's important for us to get a good night rest, have a proper breakfast, have some time where we could relax and go through scenarios in our minds. If this occur, what should I do? What am I expected to do? What am I expected to say to a client, to a work, an employee? And so that we could impact leading the change in leadership, in the process of change. People have got to see something different in us than they saw in the people before us, in the process before us. They've got to see something in this process that we're leading that they did not see before. That they could be they say, I didn't know we could have done it this way. All right, I've never seen it done like this before, but it worked. And so we can impact the process by always being responsive, and responsive in a responsible way. Being reactionary a lot of times create chaos. If we are, as leaders, like I said before, if we could relax, find time to relax, find time to maybe read a good book, read up on leadership, get a good night rest, eat healthy, do some exercise and all of that, where our minds can be clear, where we can be able to be alert and vigilant. And I think these are things that we have to inculcate in our daily life as managers, as leaders. The discipline to do this, to think and to relax and to sleep well and to eat healthy, knowing that they're all a part of the process of leadership. Is going to help our thinking process throughout the day, throughout the hours that we are working, because leaders oftentimes work longer hours than most people. Sometimes I work 18 hours a day, sometimes it go right round the clock. And I know that is not good. But if we're going to impact change, there's some extra time that we have to put in. But there's some extra time also that we have to take out to relax and to, rejuvenate ourselves, our mind, our body, and every other part of ourselves. Amen? So that we could impact the change. The other question is, how do you think the employee can impact the process of a change? Could impact the success of a change process. Sorry. Let me just read that question again. It says, how do you think the employee can impact the success of a change process? I've been an employee before, and one of the things about being an employee and being successful in your position as an employee is listening, understanding, observing, and reporting. Especially when I was a nurse assistant and I was a nurse's aide. It's two different things. One of the important things about these positions is that you observe and you report. Observe and report. If you are working in hospitality, you observe and report. That is not a law that I've heard written anyway, but it's what I brought with nursing, from nursing to this profession. I say to my employees, observe, report. I say to my employees, listen, and if you don't hear or there's no clarity, ask for clarity. Say, can you please repeat that? Don't walk away with half of a command and come back with half of the results. Because time is important to some people. I know to an organization, time, because we pay you by the hour. There's the success of the organization is determined by the time we put in, how much we can fit into the time slot that we're there for, how much work we can put in. For we work 8-hour shift, but it's really 7 hours, and so we want to maximize as employees our time on the job. We want to help the change along, and in order for us to help the change along, we've got to listen, we've got to work together. I'm talking from an employee perspective, because the question is, how can an employee impact change, the process of change? Working together, housekeeping, front desk, housekeeping, the bar, the kitchen. We all interconnected in the organization that I'm involved in. I think in every organization. And so, being on time, paying attention. I say to my employees, I say everybody is responsible for security. Everyone is responsible. You see somebody come to the back in your area, it's a guest, you've never seen them before, inquire, report. You see somebody walk in the door and receptionist is not there, yes sir, yes ma'am, can I help you? This is a change process. People are accustomed to coming in, just running around, doing whatever they want. Now we are in a process of change. We are setting a new system in place. And so in order for us, our system to succeed, we've got to do, all of us, our part. And this is what I say to them. So if the employee is going to impact change, they've got to listen. They've got to work with management, because management is always sitting on top, not because they want to lord it over people or be the boss, but because they can see clearly. Because their experience tell them that 9 out of 10 persons is going to do a certain things, behave a certain way. They've been there long enough to see that, to know that, and they explain, and I've had that. I've said to employees, I said, this is the behavior that is going to be exhibited, this is going to be the response in some cases, this is what is going to be done, this is the way that they're going to do it. And of course, the part of the resistance in them say, no, 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 I know. And then when they get the results that experience told them, then they come back and say, but I never knew. So listening, understanding from our perspective, sharing their views and opinions. I like to have a feedback. I like to know what you think. I like to know how you feel in a situation, because this is what is going to help the process of change. Management is not always right. An employee can come to management and say, management, I felt mistreated by you. I felt as if I wasn't heard by you. And that helps the management itself to change. And I think all of us, management, the management team, as well as the whole staff, we need to work together to have a successful process of change. Because remember, in the beginning I said old people left, new people came in, but the system still had to be changed. This was a work in process. It's not, we don't have the people that was there that did things a certain way, but we are training people for the whole system, because we still have the same clients, guests coming in. We still serving the same people in the community or in the organizations that comes there and use the restaurant, to use the bar, or use the event space, or use the rooms. So we working with people also, the guests and the clients that were accustomed to a different kind of treatment, a different kind of service. We are trying to elevate the service and the the treatment of the guests. And we're trying to be courteous, and some people, they like the rough things, and you don't have to do that. Yes, we do, and this is what we do, and this is the way we do it. And so we help the process, the staff help the process of change succeed when they don't succumb to whatever the guest is saying or doing or is comfortable with. The standard is the standard. The goals of the organization and the vision of the organization is set. And so we all work together to cement it in the hearts and the minds of the people, and in the heart and the mind of the process. I mean, we can say the process has a mind and a heart. Change. And so change is strange, and it's oftentimes resisted. But if we allow time, I always say time is our best friend. If we allow time, change will become normal. It will become the norm. It won't be changed anymore. It will just be what it is until the next phase of our chapter in our organization, business, whatever. Until there's a difference that has to be made. And so I think that is my contribution to the questions that were asked. And let me briefly go over the 4 questions. Just the questions. They say, have you ever been a part of a change process? If so, please explain. What did you feel before and during? What did you feel before, during, and after the change? Number 3 question is, explain the resistance you felt or weakness as change occur. How do you think leaders can impact the process, the success? How can you think leaders can impact the success change process? The process. How do you think the employee can impact the success of a change process? I think that's what was missing in the first one. How do you think leaders can impact the success of a change process? And the last one is, how do you think employees can impact the success of a change process? And those were my thoughts. Maybe I was a bit too long, but I'm sorry. Maybe I can condense it again.